In this video, I'm going to show you how to get AI assistants set up on Slack. That way your whole team can have access instead of using something like OpenAI's Team Workspace, where they're charging $25 per user. You can go ahead and get one AI assistant set up on your Slack workspace and your whole team can use it. This is great for any of you that have a team. You can hook up AI to your Slack workspace, a place where you already work, and your team can see how to use AI instead of needing to go navigate to OpenAI or any of the other platforms where they might access it and use it themselves. So I'm going to cover everything from OpenAI's API assistants. It's ultimately 3 simple steps where we're going to go ahead and create our assistant, just basically giving it a name and a purpose. We'll then go ahead and create a thread, which basically gives our bot memory. And then we'll finalize by creating a function that will allow a response to be sent from Slack. It'll understand it, add that to the thread, and then respond to that message. And before we get started, I wanted to introduce myself to those of you that don't know me. My name is Justin, and I own an AI automation consulting firm. I've been helping clients automate tasks from content creation to customer engagement, data analytics, and I'd like to teach you how to do the same. I'm going to start off by using my AI Toolbox that I previously built. I have a whole tutorial on how to recreate this toolbox. It goes through everything from working with OpenAI, getting it set up to Slack, putting that onto the cloud so that it's always running and always available. This is great for those of you that'll be working with clients, or if you need a bot always working for your own team or even yourself. I also wanted to let you know that I'll be making weekly videos just like this one, where I'll be creating different AI assistants. You can think of these like tools in your toolbox. And the last and final point I'd like to make is that I've also built an AI assistant that helps me code and can also help you. If you like any of the code from any of my videos, my AI assistant will help you modify it for your own use cases. That way it'll be a lot quicker, a lot easier to get yourself set up, whether you're working on it again for yourself or making money doing this for others. So we're gonna go ahead and jump right in and create ourselves an assistant. So let's get started. All right, so to kick things off, we're gonna go ahead and go to OpenAI's documentation. We're gonna scroll down to the assistant section and click on the overview tab. And then what we're going to do is scroll down to the create an assistant part. Now, before I go ahead and start modifying our code, I just want to walk through the code base that we had set up, the AI toolbox that I built. As I mentioned before, this is a connection to Slack, which is this first main.py page. And then what it does is also determines how to handle Slack messages. So we can see that here. And what it's doing is saying that we will go ahead and pass the text through. So any of the text that comes from Slack, we're going to pass it through to a function called auto. And then we'll also pass through this say, which allows us to be able to respond by using Slack. So we've got this function built out here, which comes from this auto.py page. So you can see we've created this function called def auto, say text. And then in the previous one, what we did was we had an interaction with OpenAI, but we used the chat completions API. And this does not have a memory. So I'm now going to be walking you through the AI assistants, which will have a built-in memory for us. So this is helpful in times when you just want to have a conversation, or even if you're having it create content, it's good so it won't get repetitive if it knows what it said beforehand. So I'm going to go ahead and jump back over to the create an assistant now, and then I'm going to copy this code here, and I'm going to go ahead and start by going below this OpenAI client section. So I'll paste it here, and then I'm going to title it. So we'll go ahead and call this create AI assistant, and then what I need to do is change this to OpenAI client. As you can see here, I've determined it to be an OpenAI client, or defined it to be that. So we'll go ahead and do the same here. We're going to call this our AI automation assistant. And then we're also going to be changing the instructions. So I will copy over those instructions. And we're basically going to tell it that it's an AI automation assistant, and then it likes to talk about AI automation, similar to what we did previously down here. We also have this tools that we're going to delete out. So this is the code interpreter, which helps with data analysis. So OpenAI has different tools that you can use with these AI assistants. For now, we're just going to focus on the content creation part and not really doing any of the data analysis or any document retrieval is another thing you can do. So I'm just deleting that out for now. We'll go ahead and focus on this. And the last thing I will edit is just changing this to GPT-4 Turbo. OpenAI has launched their latest version of their model, and it's just called GPT-4 Turbo. No longer do you need the preview. So once we've done that, we can go ahead and run this. And then we're going to run just the assistant to get the ID. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that, and then we're going to create a new variable here that is assistant ID, and then we've defined it here. So the next thing we'll do is actually copy and paste over the thread. We're going to create thread, and when we're thinking about a thread, we can think of this when we're looking inside ChatGPT. There's the different tabs that you can create for new conversations. Each one of those can be considered a thread where it has a memory and recollection and a conversation that it can carry on. So I'll jump back over to VS Code. I'll copy that in. We're going to need to call this OpenAI. And then we can run this and get the ID of the thread as well. So let's go ahead and do that. And you can see here I've got this ID that I'll copy, and then I'll paste that in here. Oops, could go like that. All right. And then I'm just going to change this to create AI assistant and thread. So, all right, and now we're going to start updating our function. The first thing we're going to do is add a message to the thread. The message we're going to add is that variable called text that I explained to you earlier, which is any incoming message from Slack. So let's jump in. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start by just deleting out what we have here. So we'll do that, and then we're going to jump back over to OpenAI's documentation. We're going to copy this, add a message to thread code here, and then we're going to make some edits to this to work for us. So one thing we know is we need to indent this as it's a part of the function. So we'll go ahead and do that. We're going to add OpenAI to our client name. And then what we're going to do is change this thread.id. This will pull from the thread had we put that within our function, but since we've already defined it here, we can just copy this variable name and paste it there. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we have this text that we're going to pass through to the content. So we'll just change that out as well. All right, in the next part, we're going to deviate a little bit from OpenAI's documentation. We're just setting this up a little bit differently, and I'm going to make it work for us, where we're going to go ahead and run the assistant, and then we'll retrieve the message and have it respond to us. Let me show you. All right, so I'm just going to start by adding a title here, just so it's easier to follow along. The next step that we're going to do, as I mentioned, is run the AI assistant. So we'll go ahead and copy and paste in the code to be able to do that. And then this is an asynchronous operation, meaning it takes time to run. So what we need to do is create a while loop that basically says while this is incomplete, or while run.status is not complete, we want to just make sure that we don't do anything yet. So we want to do this because we need to actually have this finished before there's a message for us to retrieve, which is the next step. So we'll go ahead and add in that code, which we'll do here. So this is going to retrieve and return the last message from the thread. So whenever we retrieve it, it gives us the entire list of the thread. So we just really want the last message, which is what this is actually doing. And then we're also saying that, hey, if nothing comes, just give us a response that no message is found. From there, we want to add the say part of the function up here. This is how we respond. So now we're going to go ahead and include this function that says say, and then the text that we want it to say is just the response. So it'll give us one of these two responses. If there is a message text, it'll give us that one, and again, if there's not, it'll say no message found. One thing we can see here is the time is underlined, meaning that we don't have that installed in our environment. So what we want to do is say import time, and then when we scroll down, that should be fixed. So we're good to go. Alright, next I'm going to show you how to update our GitHub repository, which will automatically kickstart our cloud server to update, and then our Slack bot will be updated. So let me show you. Alright, so what we're going to want to do is navigate over to the source control. You can see that it has our changes here, so we're just going to want to commit and push those, and then we'll just go ahead and call this AI assistant so we remember that we're updating it for that. So we can say commit and push. And then yes, we want to do that. Would you like to post this branch? Okay. All right, I went into render, which is our cloud server that we're using. I waited until the deploy said live, and now I'm going to go ahead and try the bot out. So we'll say hi again and see what happens here. And hopefully we will get ourselves a response. Boom. Hello, how can I assist you today? Do you remember what I last said? As an AI, I don't have the ability to crawl past interactions unless they are part of the current session. Will you describe the current session? Current session, you've greeted me with hi and asked if I could remember what you last said. So it's showing us that it has memory and is asking us still if it can assist us because those are the instructions that we gave it. Alright, you guys, and that's how you can create an AI assistant on Slack, so you can bring AI into your workspace for your whole team to use. No longer do you need to navigate to a new website or pay that $25 per user that OpenAI demands. You can just go ahead and bring it into Slack for your whole team to use. If you enjoyed this video or if you want to make it yourself, I recommend you go over to my website. I have that free course that I mentioned. It walks you through everything from getting OpenAI and Slack set up and then also deploying to the cloud server using GitHub. So I'm hoping you guys enjoyed this. If so, go ahead and hit that like button, and if you subscribe, you'll be able to get notified whenever I create a new video. I'm going to be making these weekly, as I mentioned. I'll be creating new AI assistants. We'll be covering content creation, customer engagement, data analytics, and so much more. So I'll see you guys in the next video.